Good evening. I'd like to call the City of Oldsmar City Council meeting of September 19th, 2017 to order. If you'll please rise for our invocation and our pledge that will be led by our City Attorney, Mr. Tom Trask.
Heavenly Father, we ask for your divine guidance and help in our deliberations this evening. We give our special thanks for the many years of faithful service given to the citizens of Oldsmar by your servant, Bruce Haddock. We also ask for your blessing on Al Braithwaite that he begins his work as this Oldsmar's new city manager. Our prayer is that Bruce will continue to participate in the affairs of the city of Oldsmar so that his contributions can further enrich our lives. This we pray.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and once again, welcome to what I'll call the historic City Council meeting of Bruce Haddock's last council meeting. A lot of kind words said earlier, but it's, I remember 18 months ago when we started this process and we thought we were starting it way early, and then it's kind of snuck up upon us. So I know I'm honored, and I'm sure the council is honored and staff to be part of this memorable moment for you in your life. So with that, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. And our first item is our Citizens Open Forum, where it allows you to address the City Council. We only have a couple of rules. You state your name and address clearly for the record. You keep your comments to no more than 5 minutes. And we do have a couple of public hearing items, items 17 and 18. So if you wish to address those, we ask that you wait till such time as we get to those items on the agenda. Having said that, anybody like to address the City Council? Yeah.
Hi, Susan Hurley, Library Director, Oldsmar Library.
Hi, Samantha Demme, Arts and Culture, Oldsmar Library.
I'm just here to talk about some of the programs we have coming up over the next couple of months. First, I wanted to say that the program that was scheduled for Thursday, our local author night that our friends of the library were sponsoring, has been rescheduled. We don't have a new date yet, but when we do, we'll have it up on our calendar and the website. Coming up in October, on Tuesday the 3rd, before the next council meeting and during from 6 to 8, we're going to have the Children's Art Reception in City Hall. That's an annual event, and it's always fun to for the kids to see their artwork hanging up, and it's always quite impressive when you look at the stuff that they've done. So that'll be Tuesday, October 3rd from 6 to 8. And then also starting in October, we're going to have a program that we did last year that was quite popular. It's for our teens. It's zombie survival training. Each week we have a different program to help the teens prepare for the zombie apocalypse. It's it's the first 3 Tuesdays of the month from 6 to 7. They're going to do bug out bags. There's a first aid class and some target practice. And then the zombie apocalypse program is at the end of the month on Friday, October 20th. After the library closes from 6 to 7:30, we have some zombies that take over the building, and the kids run around with Nerf guns and try to shoot them, so it's fun. You know, anytime they can.
Is there an age limit on that?
I was wondering.
That was kind of fun.
I was wondering if we have to activate our emergency operations center again.
Oh, no, we
We
don't.
have zombie
No.
apocalypse training?
No, but it's.
We do, okay.
Yeah, it's always fun to run around the building after hours, shooting each other with Nerf guns, so. And then for the kids, we have our Ghostbusters Halloween party on Thursday, October 26th at 5 p.m. We have a group that comes out, they dress up like the Ghostbusters, they have a car, there's a contest, a costume contest, crafts, games, prizes. So that'll be at the end of October. And in November, at the beginning of the month at Cypress Forest, we have the talent show on Friday, November 3rd. So we're still looking for participants for that. So if you're interested, anyone interested in performing in the talent show, you can come out and just give us a call at the library. We'll get you set up. And then on Saturday, November 4th, we have our Fall Opal performance, and this year it's going to be a play called An Empress, a Fawn, and an Olive Loaf, and it's basically a reinterpretation of the 80s movie Labyrinth, so that'll be in November. And all of this is on our website. We have some flyers in the back of the room, so that was it.
I feel so cheated as a child.
We can set up a separate program if you want. We can do something.
All we did when I was a kid was check out books. And we didn't even have that internet thing yet, so thank you, but it is on our website if you want to be part of the zombie apocalypse or Ghostbusters. So, Eric, you gonna go?
Could be the zombies.
Yeah, I know, we could, yeah, the council zombies. Anybody else on this side like to address the council? Oh, anybody on this side like to address the council? Yep, I see a couple of hands. Tony, is that you back there?
Hello,
Hi.
my name is Michelle Carey, 708 Bayside Boulevard in Oldsmar. And I just wanted to come up and extend an invitation to the public and to the city council to, if you're available, to attend the Gold Star Mothers and Families Day ceremony that we're having this Saturday. We actually organized it through Gold Star Fathers of Florida. So if I could just pass these out, that's all I needed to do.
Yep.
I
What
thank you
time,
for your
Saturday? What time Saturday?
It is actually, the ceremony itself starts promptly at 11,
Okay.
okay?
I'm heading out of town, so I don't know if I'll see if I can schedule.
We
it.
are
So-
going to be there as early as 9:45 so that we can have time to view the exhibit for the
Oh, right.
Floridian Fawn.
Okay,
Yes, okay? Thank you.
thank you.
My name is Tony Gross, 711 Santonleaf Avenue.
Jill Stevenson. I am associated with Tony, but I actually live in St. Pete.
We won't hold that against you.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm Craig Gross. I'm Tony's husband and the bag boy tonight.
Michelle, come on up.
We are here tonight to thank 4 citizens who have kindly supported Oldsmar's and Tampa Bay's Gold Star families throughout the year and at Oldsmar's 2017 Memorial Day ceremony. We'd like to present each of you with a certificate designed by Patriot Guard rider Kurt Krizel of Ocala, created and given in memory of United States Marine Corporal Barton R. Hummel-Hans and Army Corporal Frank R. Gross. First, we'd like to recognize and thank Linda Norris. Linda, come on up. Linda is, of course, we all know, former Oldsmar City Council member and vice mayor, and Linda has worked tirelessly to make art in Oldsmar a reality, highlighted by a huge patriotic mural honoring Oldsmar's veterans, active duty, and fallen military service members at RE Olds Park. Thank you, Linda. And in addition to a certificate, Linda, stay up here. Craig has a little something. Craig, do you want to tell?
I gave her a gift certificate to Frankie's Patriot Barbecue. I know the owner. So
Oh, do you? That helps.
Linda, just stay here, please. Next, we'd like to recognize Felicia Donnelly, who has just celebrated 6 months as Director of Oldsmar Leisure Services. Come on up, Felicia. Felicia invited Oldsmar's Gold Star families to set up a patriotic display during Oldsmar's 2017 Memorial Day ceremony. We'd like to thank and honor you also with that certificate and a gift certificate. Next, we'd like to honor and recognize our mayor. Come on down, Mayor Doug. Who has served on city council since 2009 and as mayor since 2014, for acknowledging our Gold Star families during your past Memorial Day speeches. Finally, last but not least, and I think I probably need to get my calculator out, Jerry Beaverland, Oldsmar's most enduring. Come on down. please. Well-known resident, a United States Army veteran who has served on Oldsmar City Council for
175 years.
28 years, 10 years as mayor, 3 years vice mayor, 15 years as council member. We want to thank you for your understanding and continued support for our Gold Star families. Many thanks to each of you. Can we get a picture taken together? Is that okay? Okay, all right. This is part 2, okay, or part 3. I'd like, no, not until the pictures are done. I'd like to introduce to you Jill Stevenson, my friend. When Jill received the call that her 21-year-old son, Corporal Ben Kopp, had been shot while serving in Operation Enduring Freedom, her fear was that he would lose his leg. But soon her fears would be realized in more devastating ways than she ever expected. Due to complications, Ben went into a coma, and 8 days later, he was pronounced brain dead. United States Army Corporal Ben Kopp, an American hero who was credited with saving the lives of 6 of his fellow soldiers on the battlefield, was struck down defending his country. He died a ranger, a warrior, and a patriot. His heroism would not stop at death. I asked Jill to join me this evening as we will be going before the upcoming Veterans Advisory Board meeting Monday, September the 25th, in hopes that the members of the board will grant our request to allow Jill to share this incredible true story at Oldsmar's Memorial Day Ceremony 2018. And that we'd like to give each of you a copy of Jill's signed book called Heart of a Ranger. And she's going to take a couple of minutes to tell you a little bit about that.
Thank you, Tony, and thank you all council members for allowing us to have a couple minutes here. I'll make this as brief as possible. My son Ben joined the military out of respect and reverence for his great-grandfather's service to America in World War II as an infantryman with the Red Bulls. I come from a very young family, so my son was very fortunate enough to have a relationship with his great-grandfather for 13 years. Ben grew up wanting to emulate his service. He died at the age of 82 in the spring of 2001. We all know what happened 5 months later. When 9/11 happened, my great-grandfather's death became something very personal to Ben, and his deep sorrow for his great-grandfather's death turned to vindication. And he made a declaration at that wise old age of 13 that he was going to become an Army Ranger, find Osama bin Laden, and make him pay for mocking the service members that came before him, his great-grandfather, namely, and then all the innocent people that died that day. Ben made good on that promise and joined the military in his senior year of high school. 1 month after he graduated, he landed at Fort Benning, Georgia, and trained with the infantry just like his great-grandfather had done many years before that. He landed at the 3rd Ranger Battalion 7 months later, made good on that promise as well, and was assigned to the 375th Ranger Regiment at Fort Benning, Georgia. By the time he reached his 3rd year of service, he had done 2 deployments and was on his way to his 3rd deployment, where he was wounded by a sniper halfway through that deployment as he was called forward as a gun team leader to save his gun team that was pinned down by Taliban snipers. Ben took a bullet to the leg and unfortunately did not survive that injury. As Tony mentioned, he was declared brain dead when he arrived at Walter Reed 4 days after he was wounded. That brain death enabled him to become an organ donor. Ben had made those wishes known in his blue book, or the living will, which is something that the Rangers complete prior to their deployments. And he had answered a question there that asked, do you wish to be an organ donor? Ben said yes. The next question asked, which ones? And he wrote in any that are needed. I honored those wishes that Ben had made. Although he was 21, the decision was really his and not mine. But because of that decision, he saved or enhanced the lives of 60 people. And that's with the organs, his heart, his liver and both kidneys directly saved lives, and the rest come from enhancements with bone, skin, and tissue. Ben's heart is still beating today in a woman that lives in suburban Chicago. She's doing very well 8 years later. That's where we're at now. And this book was written by a gentleman from the Twin Cities, where I'm actually from, who happens to be from the same hometown as the woman who received Ben's heart. He found out about the story 2 years after Ben had died, and kind of went on a mission to rope Ben and I into some of his news stories, and then felt very compelled to write a book about it when his own son graduated from the same infantry that Ben did a number of years later. So The Heart of a Ranger is a biography of Ben's life, and honored to share a copy with each of you, and hope that you would consider, as Tony mentioned, having me speak at the Memorial Day ceremony in Oldsmar in 2018. Thank you very much.
To wrap this up, please wish us the best as we go before the Veterans Advisory Board to request that Jill be included as a speaker at Oldsmar's 2018 Memorial Day ceremony to share this incredible story about an American hero who gave his life in combat, and yet his final heartbeat did not end there. It is my hope that each member of Oldsmar's Veterans Advisory Board will vote yes. Let's think about why we observe Memorial Day. We can all agree that it is a day to remember those who died in America's wars. What better way to remember the fallen than to allow a family member to speak on behalf of these brave patriots and heroes, both young and old. Thank you for letting us go way over the 5-minute limit. Get a picture.
Seal. You gotta be in the middle. In the front of the seal.
You guys can be in it. Just stand up behind. Thank you. Anybody else on this side? I think I saw one or two more hands on this side of the council that would like to speak. Anybody else in the room that would like to address the council?
When is the raid gonna sign?
Working on it, one thing at a time. We don't want to detract from Bruce's night tonight, you know. Seeing no one, I'll close the citizens' open forum and give you the mayor's minute. A little recap, Guns and Hoses fundraiser was this past weekend. The 6th annual hot wing eating contest challenge. The hoses were hosted by the Guns this year for the first time. Great fundraiser for holiday sharing fund. Thanks to all who attended and participated at Rumba, and it is the first time that the Guns won. So they, as I understand it, they were the hottest wings they had ever eaten. They were dipped in ghost pepper, so they were definitely hot.
I don't know what that is, but it doesn't
I'm going
sound
to tell
like
you,
anything I want to eat.
out of 6 wings, they ate the first one really, really fast, and then the other 5 were very, very slow. So, also, I wanted to say a special thank you. He actually has an agenda item tonight, item number 3, under our consent docket. I want to say from the city of Oldsmar, a thank you to Oldsmar resident Bernie Carnival, who is moving to Gainesville. On behalf of the city, we wish you the best of luck in your new adventure. His many years of services on our advisory boards include Community Redevelopment Agency Advisory Board 1995 to 1999, our Planning Board from 2000 to 2017, and our Board of Adjustments from 2011 to 2017. You are a glutton for punishment looking at those boards that you were on. Bernie's here somewhere. Here he is.
Right over here.
Thank you, Bernie, for everything that you've done. Gainesville's all right, but it's not as cool as Oldsmar, so we hope you. Yes, I'm sorry.
Bernie, thank you for everything. Welcome, thank you. It's been a pleasure to know each and every one of you and work with each and every one of you. Thank you so much, I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you, Bernie.
Bruce, enjoy that retirement, my friend. Enjoy that retirement.
I think he's already highlighted that part of the resolution. Next item is hashtag Oldsmar Strong Hurricane Irma. A lot has happened since our last council meeting when Fire and EMS Chief Dean O'Neill gave us an update on Hurricane Irma and the potential impact for Oldsmar and Tampa Bay. Our EOC Emergency Operations Center was activated the morning of the 8th and continued until last Friday. Our planning and PIO are still active segments as they work on post-storm information. Solid waste and recycling is returned to its normal schedule. Also, yard debris for residents that want to drop off self-service. We have 3 locations, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. One is at a Big Blue Dumpster at Sheffield Park. Another one is at the South Mobley Oldsmar Beach area, which is at the end of Shore Drive. Also on the north side, right there at Hayes Road, which is by the fire station, more so probably by the basketball court. The chief asked that you not dump it in their dumpster, but dump it in the one that's over by the basketball court. All parks are now open. The trail is still closed. Library, senior center, rec center are open. We appreciate your patience as we work through with our post-hurricane cleanup efforts. It wouldn't happen overnight. It's not going to happen overnight. In a few weeks, proud our residents, businesses, and staff are safe. So also, I have driven, and Al, if you'll come up and maybe give a little bit of an update on the non-self drop-off part. I know you've driven around Pinellas County, and I have too, and we have a mess all over the Pinellas County, but I think we're doing very well compared to others, so thank you.
Yes, sir. Al Braithwaite, Director of Administrative Services and Oldsmar resident. As you mentioned, we have receptacles in 3 different places around the city. We also have city crews actively collecting yard debris everywhere we can get it, and they're moving slowly because they're undermanned and under-equipped to a degree, but they're working hard to try and get to as many places as possible. And we have a debris management firm that we contracted with recently that is now mobilizing. That'll be for more of the big items, more like trees and things that the regular haulers can't take. So again, as the mayor said, we'd appreciate your patience because we're working hard to try and get as much of it taken away as we can. But as you can imagine, this is the largest event in terms of its effect on Florida residents probably in history. So everybody's spread real thin. And just as a side note, Republic is back in their regular mode with their Tuesday, Friday, Monday, Thursday, and Wednesday, Saturday routes. But they're just picking up the things they normally would at this point. And we're expanding our city crews by 1 on Thursday. So hopefully we'll be picking up the pace. You should see some bigger vehicles around towards the end of the week. That would be the debris management contractor. And hopefully we'll get it taken care of in next couple of weeks. The point that I think you asked me to make was I've been driving around the county who a fair amount just to trying to get back to normal after being activated in the EOC. And I've yet to see any community that's actually picking much up. So I think we're in pretty good shape. We offer 3 options. Our people are working hard, and hopefully we'll take care of it as quickly as possible.
Thank you, yeah. And to those that are, the millions that are watching at home and the thousands that are here today, if you happen to talk to any of your neighbors and you hear them say anything, please share that with them and let them know that we're doing our best to pick it up. I don't know all the specifics about it, but I know that there is a procedure, and it's related to the FEMA component of it, so that procedurally we have to do it a certain way so that it's tracked and we get reimbursed. Is that fair to say, Al? Thank you. So we definitely want to do it properly and get reimbursed. So as like anything with the government, you got to follow some procedures. So thank you for that update, Al. That concludes the mayor's minute. We have nothing in the CRA. Oops, helps if I grab the right agenda. Our consent docket is approved minutes of the June 6, 2017 City Council meeting, approved payment to legal counsel. Item 3, accept the resignation of Bernie Carnaval from the Planning Board and the Board of Adjustments. and also approve the tentative agenda for October 3rd, 2017. If nobody wishes to pull anything, I need a motion.
So moved.
Second. Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Thank you. Next is the City of Oldsmar, which is the presentation of the Council Manager Award, and Councilmember Seidel is doing that.
I'm just leaving the glasses on at this point.
Yeah.
idea.
I'll put them back on. Right. Well, it's a real honor to present this award tonight. As you know, we give this award for quite a few different things, right? We give it for maybe when a business does something that goes above and beyond, or individuals in our community who are always supporting events here in the city. And tonight's recipient could have not worked harder and more faithfully to have really earned this recognition, and probably should have earned it a long time ago. Our recipient was born in Hazelhurst, Georgia, which is not far from Tifton, if you know the area much. I actually do. She moved to Florida when she was 2 years old. Her hometown was Plant City until she met this guy in 1976, whose name was Bruce Haddock. A year after they married, they moved to Gulfport, Florida, where she received her associate's degree from St. Petersburg College in science veterinarian technology. She moved to Oldsmar in 1986, 31 years ago, and where she, at that point, decided to stay home. They had the boys, do homeschooling, which that should be an award all by itself. I can't even imagine. As the boys went off to high school, she later went back to work at Continental Airlines. Then that became United Airlines. And let's see, she retired again this March. And so she's now retired, like someone else. And here's an interesting fact. Both of her sons are first responders. One's a sheriff's deputy, the other's a firefighter. And so that whole community service kind of mindset, you see where it comes from. So in case you don't know who I'm talking about, I am talking about Reva. Would you come up, please? Hello, hello. There you go.
Is there air?
Yeah, person in chair, as we like to say. A pick problem. It goes back off, on and off. We must need new batteries. You know, it's funny, serving our city, right? A lot of times, people will think about those who are elected or appointed as the people who are making all the sacrifices, because the truth is, our citizens treat all of us pretty darn well. But sometimes there are decisions that we make, and our people are passionate, that some of our citizens might even say some things that are not very nice. And your spouse, your partner, whatever the case might be, they endure that. And I was thinking about it when we were making the decision on this award. Think about all the people in the city and how many times they've gone to events to support Veterans Day, Memorial Day, parades, Oldsmar days, on and on and on. And besides Jerry Beaverland, who comes to mind right there, and our city manager of 31 years, there's only one other person who I can think of who can lay claim to that, who's been that supportive all those years, dealt with all the ups and downs, and quite frankly, has done it with grace and class. And I can tell you, we appreciate you, and you're going to be missed.
You're right.
I don't have much to say. I've been in the background so long, I don't know. I'm not used to being out front, and I function very well in the background.
I've hung out with you. You can talk.
Yeah, we can.
So have I.
One thing I can say, this is the best council you'll ever have. The city council, this right here, these guys. They're the real thing, because I've been around them enough that they are. Thank you for all the years. Thank you for the years that you cared about us. We came here as two young little green things, and you didn't care. You cared about us anyway. And we learned to let our guard down, and we found that this was the best community that we could ever raise our kids in and be a part of. And I'm grateful. I'm so grateful that we've been here this long. Thank you.
Aretha, I can tell you this, knowing you for 27 years, knowing who you're married to, 2 awards. Eric, Bruce,
Yeah.
go down there and stand with them.
Oh, yeah, you didn't call up your spouse and.
Yeah, you're normally calling the spouse who you brought with.
You get so much stuff tonight. You won't be nice. Honestly, I know the meeting's been rough. Come on, the council.
I agree.
Yeah.
Come on, Jared. We can just roll you down the ramp and leave you there the rest of the night.
That would be okay.
Yeah, sorry,
Sherry, turn that way.
No, not like that. Freak me out.
I've been enjoying that.
Next item is the consider the request from the Florida Bicycle Association to adopt a resolution supporting further restrictions on texting while driving. Becky, I saw you somewhere. Yep, Becky Alfonso.
Good evening, Becky Afonso, 250 Strathmore Avenue, Executive Director of the Florida Bicycle Association. I appreciate the council looking at this resolution. This is a grassroots effort coming from Representative Emily Schlossberg of Delray Beach. As you know, we currently have a texting offense that's only secondary, and we are not giving law enforcement the opportunity to truly stop distracted driving. And if you read through that resolution, you'll find more than 7 points as to why this needs to be a primary offense. What I left for the council were a couple issues of our quarterly newsletter called The Messenger. And in our summer issue on page 5, I have a column addressing texting as a primary offense. And I'd just like to read this excerpt from an article in the Miami Herald from April 19th, 2017. Quote, "Florida drivers are among the most dangerous menaces on the road, ranking second worst in the nation for being distracted while behind the wheel. according to a study of driving habits. Florida's score was 49th, ahead of only Louisiana, in a state-by-state analysis that indicated that 92% of U.S. drivers with cell phones use them while moving in a car. We are only one of 4 states that don't have texting as a primary, and we need it. And I can provide all manner of fatality statistics with regards to traffic crashes, but this is something that it's been through the legislation before, it hasn't passed, and again, this is something that coming from a grassroots effort. I know that the city of Boca Raton has already passed this resolution. I'll be asking other cities in the county to pass this resolution. I wanted to start with FBA being headquartered in Oldsmar. And I will say that there are 2 Senate bills and 1 House bill right now to make this a primary offense. And I have those, it's Senate Bill 72 and Senate Bill 90 and House Bill 121.
Do we have any indication why it failed last time, or what kicked it out, or what the reasoning was to not support it?
Having been in front of various elected officials, there are numerous thoughts and theories as to why certain elected officials won't pass it. I can say that these are public roads, and this is public safety. And I don't understand why we can't get this passed. But if we can go city by city and municipality by municipality, maybe the state will start to recognize it.
Well, I mean, I can't speak for the council, but I know we had one of our representatives here, and sometimes it doesn't seem like anymore that it matters what the residents or citizens of the state of Florida or Oldsmar want sometimes when things get to Tallahassee. So having said that, I understand what you're talking about. I'll say no more on that. The representatives of the people don't seem to represent the people, so.
And there's a formulation of a coalition that may actually have a little bit stronger push in Tallahassee this session that's coming up, and this session does start January 9th. I will say from my own perspective, in a bill that the association looked into, which was to put vulnerable road users into the current move-over law, that we actually do have a Senate and House sponsor. So I personally will be in Tallahassee talking about these 2 issues with regards to public safety on public roads.
Have you had a meeting or anything with the sheriff? I'd be curious what the sheriff's department or the sheriff himself thinks on this and enforcing it, and, you know.
Well, what we hear from law enforcement, and the association is part of the Florida Department of Transportation Safety Coalition, and we meet quarterly, and we do have the Chief of Police Association in the room, we have the Sheriff's Association in the room, and what we hear more and more is they need enforceable laws. And they cannot pull over anybody right now texting while driving unless there's another offense, because they can only do it as a secondary. But if it's a primary offense, then they can pull them over.
Mayor?
Yes.
I'm going to say this openly, and I don't care if I offend anybody. If you text while you're driving, you're stupid to start with. My granddaughter, my beautiful granddaughter, she was at fault also. But the girl that hit her and killed her was on a cell phone.
I guess what we're looking for is a consensus. Is that what we're looking for? A consensus to at least move it forward and bring it as an agenda item?
Mayor, I'd like to move it forward.
Okay, consensus? And then maybe we can, I'd be curious what the sheriff thinks. I mean, again, we know, as Councilmember Beaverland will say, you know, sometimes resolutions, you know, don't carry the weight they're written on, but whatever we can do collectively to put more teeth behind it.
I remember Councilmember Beaverland saying at one point that at some point you have to pass laws just to show what society will tolerate or not tolerate. And it's a shame this has to be a law, but it has to be a primary offense. This is the only way we're going to give law enforcement the tool to enforce it.
Okay. Well, I think you have a consensus, so council, our attorney will put something together, I guess, using this as a template. And can you keep us updated too, or maybe about what specifically maybe Pinellas County is doing and the sheriff, and if we need to maybe do something, we want to make it effective, you know, so.
And I appreciate the consideration. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Becky. Next item is the presentation of the Florida League of Cities City Spirit Award. Mark Sittig is here from the Florida League of Cities. welcome, Mark, to our beautiful city.
Thank you. It is a beautiful city, and it's a pleasure to be here. You got a lot going on tonight. I'd like to add the Florida League of Cities congratulations to your longtime serving city manager. It's kind of a dying breed where you don't see city managers that last that long anymore. It used to be in the old days. We named our 50-year city manager award, years of service award, after John Land from Apopka, who served for so long. But these days, it just doesn't happen that often. I got a little off track there, sorry. But, thank you for having me. I am Mark Suttig with Florida League of Cities. I'm at 301 South Bruno Street in Tallahassee. It's an honor for me to be with you this evening to present the coveted Florida Municipal Achievement Award in the City Spirit category. We've been giving these out for a long time, and they started out to where there wasn't that many applicants that would put in. Now there's hundreds that put in. To actually win this is kind of a big deal. And it recognizes a single specific citywide effort to successfully address a local need. The city of Oldsmar's winning entry, Oldsmar's People Centennial, showcased how your beautiful city and its citizens worked together in 2016 to celebrate the 100-year anniversary of the founding of Oldsmar. Scores of citizens, businesses, and civic organizations partnered with the city to organize numerous events tailored toward your wonderful community. The People Centennial proved its value in helping Oldsmar citizens learn and honor your history and appreciate your present community. The collaboration of effort accumulated in an event for citizens of all ages that displayed Oldsmar's true city spirit. The Florida Municipal Achievement Award has recognized innovation and excellence in local government programs for nearly a decade. Your nomination was excellent. This Oldsmar's People Centennial project is outstanding. In addition to this award, Oldsmar was also recognized at the League's annual conference. You're featured on the League's website, various social media outlets, and you're also featured in the upcoming issue of our League's Quality Cities magazine. So congratulations, Mayor and the City of Oldsmar, on this prestigious award. If you'd like to come down, and I'll present this to you.
Thank you.
We should have this down.
Yep. Yeah, I would, thank you.
About the effort.
First, Dan, if you want to come down to the chair of the Centennial, I'd like you to bring up your Centennial staff that are here.
Mark, could you stay for a picture?
Yeah, sure.
I'd like you to be in the picture with the volunteers there. Oh, absolutely.
Let me mention that. But it's a great honor to do this, and I personally got to thank Deb Pauley, who put together an excellent package to really complement the efforts that the city and the residents and Dan and his committee put together for this event. It was a community coming together for a common cause, which I think is great, and I think Sharon from the League of Cities indicated that they were going to kind of use our format as the template for the Florida League of Cities Centennial as well, so I think that speaks volume of it. And just on a funny side note, we're somewhat competitive in the city of Oldsmar, especially when you have 23 other municipalities in the city, and we have that big city over I think it's called Clearwater Beach, I think. You probably have heard of it. But I was at a meeting with Mayor Fedicus and Bill Horn. It was our city manager thing. I don't believe you were able to attend that. And we were talking about it. And Mayor Fedicus looked at their city manager, Bill Horn, and said, "Didn't we apply for that event?" And Bill said, "Yeah." And he said, "And Oldsmar won." So I like to tell funny stories about our other cities. So, but I want to give this view for you, and you can introduce your staff that's here and have them come up. Without them, it wouldn't be possible.
Gina, you want to come on up and bring up your crew? Gina was our leader of our volunteers. This award would not have been one without all of her help and all council for support. Come on up, everybody. Mark, you're gonna get in here.
Man, I thought you all were here for the council meeting.
They might be blocked with this many people, but.
Mark, get up here.
Yeah.
All right.
Please.
Okay.
Nowhere to hide.
We're gonna need a bigger room.
Go big or go home.
I get that. Can you share a little, tiny little part? So now I'm really getting squeezed.
And one more, hold that pause. Yeah, you wanna hop out?
That's all right, just stand on it for a minute.
Move that Toby and we wouldn't have. All right, congratulations. I just want to say thank you to Darlene and Becky too, as the chair people for all your help. And Lincoln. What am I doing with this?
I thought you were gonna stay there all night holding that.
I'll take you home.
You have to give it back, Dan.
Yeah, and thank you to my wife for putting up with me.
Yes. Thank you to your wife for putting up with you. You're not taking that home with you.
Yes, I am.
Family cup.
Security,
Off of it.
Eddie, watch the guy, watch the bald-headed guy, please, if you could. Where are we? Next is a presentation of the Florida City and County, oh, we did that already, we got that earlier. Congratulations again. Big round of applause for Bruce. That's a huge thing. And I think Bruce mentioned it earlier, there was somebody with a 40, and sometimes you hear that people have been city managers for 31 or 40 years, but it's never with the same city. You mentioned earlier it was 40 is the longest at one city, is that right?
City of Niceville, the city administrator has been there over 40 years.
40, but, yeah, so.
I'm not going to catch him.
No. You sure? Rita, what do you think? No? Yeah. Next is the city attorney, what you got?
All right, I've got the boring stuff. Item number 9 on your agenda is adopt resolution 2017-15. I'll read that by title only. Resolution 2017-15, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, supporting the Transportation Advocacy Group, TAG, Regional Compact, and providing for an effective date hereof. That was the reading of resolution 2017-15 by title only.
Thank you. This is just a resolution, so I need a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 5-0. Thank you. Anything else?
Congratulations, Bruce.
Thank you, Tom.
How many years have you guys, I thought we'd do it at council comments, but how many years have you guys worked together?
21 years.
21 years. Wow. Wow. That's longer than both my marriages added up. Sorry, just I have to do things, I have to put things.
Back away from the microphone every now and then. Your marriage is
I just have to put it into perspective, the things that I can relate to, so.
We all measure time in different ways. don't we?
Right. Yep. So, next item is the city manager. I see you loaded your docket up.
Thank you, Mayor.
The show is yours.
Item 10, approve purchase and sale agreement with Oldsmar Towns LLC for 3.79 acres located on St. Petersburg Drive, east of the library. The council has some familiarity with this project for the townhome development. Recently, a portion of the property, less than an acre, was rezoned to town center commercial neighborhood, so the entire parcel now has that zoning designation upon it. The land use for the property is Community Redevelopment District. The proposal is to construct, I can't remember if it's 50 or 52 townhomes. 50, single 50 townhome units. Purchase price is $877,182. The purchase and sale agreement contains a provision that is subject to approval of a development agreement. Should a development agreement not be reached and approved by the city council, there's no sale of the property.
Thank you. And if you don't mind, if I could, just for a second, Dana, if you want to, I see if you'd like to acknowledge
I just
somebody.
want to say my father-in-law is here from Buffalo, New York.
Oh.
I lost my father when I was 20, and when I met him when I was 27, he's been my father for the last 25 years, and I just want to say thank you, Dad, for coming to the meeting tonight.
A little bit.
We should get him a too.
Yeah, thank you. Bye, Paula.
Sorry.
Thank you.
So as I stated, the purchase and sale agreement includes a provision. It's subject to approval of a development agreement, which we are currently negotiating. Should that not be passed or approved, then there is no sale of the property. Contract's been reviewed by the city attorney's office. If you have any questions or comments, I'd be happy to respond to those. Also, Tony Tanica with Oldsmar Towns LLC is in the audience tonight as well. Principal.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions? Well, let me get a motion first.
So moved.
Second.
Second for discussion. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, Councilman Siddell.
You know, I realize the way that this has come together has kind of been fast, and that it wasn't a scenario in which we put something out there to try to get any kind of bids on for that property. I mean, it took us a lot of years to get all that property together. And I know we did not have our consultant hired, our consultant on commercial real estate. We didn't have them hired at the time when this whole process began. So I know that they've not looked at the deal. And I raised the question only because I know the appraisal that we had done on the property was based on a different use, pure commercial use that none of us want that type of development there. We want this residential so that we get the density and everything else. Having said that, though, I think before we approve an agreement, we should have it appraised for the use that we're intending it to ultimately be, so we know how we're doing on market price. Because the appraisal that came in on this property was substantially higher. It was, if I'm not mistaken, was it somewhere around the 500,000 per acre, or
Was.
And so this is almost 4 acres, right? Now, granted, that was for a different use, which we're not talking about, but what it would suggest is that we might be well-served before we actually approve this, to spend the money to have an appraisal done, so we know if the offer is in line with the value of the property.
I have something to say also, if you're finished.
I'm done.
I don't know how in the world anybody could vote for this tonight, and you don't even know what's going there. You think you know what's going there, but you haven't seen anything that's going there. I'll tell you right now, I'm not voting on anything until I see what's going there. And he said, well, this is all dependent upon, whatever you said it's dependent upon.
Development agreement.
I'll tell you what, you vote for this tonight, I'll guarantee you, you'll vote for the development agreement. So I go back and say, you're voting on something you don't even know what you're voting on. You have no idea. This whole system has gone backwards. It is totally backwards, and I totally agree with you. You don't vote on something you don't know what's going there. You think you know what's going there, some townhouses or whatever it is, but you've never seen it. I want to ask you something else. You know, Bruce and I both played a big part in buying that piece of land. How many of you people have walked that piece of land? Anybody walked it?
Yeah.
Yeah, before.
How many trees are on it?
Or after.
Right now.
I don't know how many are on
Not many.
There's probably 300, well, I'm gonna lie to you because I'm not really sure.
But we appreciate that honesty, Jerry. Just keep rolling.
3-inch to 7-inch oak trees. I walked just a little bit of it. Well, I've walked it many times. I walked it before we bought it. That's why I brought it to Bruce. I counted 125 oak trees before I even hardly got anywhere. 3-inch to 7-inch oak trees. I would almost bet blindly that there's 300 oak trees on that thing. Now, where are the tree huggers? Now, I'm not a tree hugger, okay? I'm far from a tree hugger. How many oak trees are going to be there after this thing that we're going to vote on tonight that we don't even know what it is? How many oak trees are going to disappear? And I don't want anybody to say, oh, we're going to plant some oak trees. You're going to plant a 2-inch oak tree, you might get 30 of them on that piece of property. I'm telling you right now, I am not voting for something that I don't know what I'm voting for. And I totally agree. This whole thing is walked in here backwards. You make a presentation, you show us what you're going to do, and then we determine how we vote. And y'all aren't doing that tonight if you vote for this. I'll shut up.
Vice Mayor, or do you have a comment on that?
Particularly related to the sales price as that was negotiated, one important factor it's in the agreement would be in the sales contract, is that part of the negotiations, the developer will receive no impact fee credits. And the estimate on impact fees and permits that the city would receive from this project is approximately $400,000. That was a significant negotiating factor that resulted in a sales price in the agreement that is less than what we were requesting to begin with.
May I comment on that? Bruce is one of the most incredible negotiators I've ever worked with. And I've been working with him for almost 28 years, 27 years anyway. It's been a long time that he's had to put up with me, but he's hoping I'd go home now. But anyway, you can't count money. To what you're going to build there. That piece of land, and you'll have to agree with this. There's been many times that we could have abated, or we could have put our values in a trash can so we could have something that looks like a piece of crap out there, but we never violated what we wanted for this city. Never. You haven't, and I haven't. And I will not do that. You go to some of these cities and see how they have violated their values, and look what they look like. They look like a piece of crap. And then you come to the city of Oldsmar, and you have to say, what an incredible, beautiful city. I'm not saying that this project is a crap. I'm not saying that. It could enhance the city, but do it the right way. You vote for something you've never seen. Money cannot buy the value of what a city is. $5 million, and I wouldn't care if they were going to build something, which they probably won't, that I'm going to be ashamed of. And I will not vote for something that I haven't seen. And I'll guarantee you, if you vote for it tonight, you're going to vote for everything else down the road. And it'll probably be a great project. It'll probably enhance the city. But we're doing it the wrong way. And I agree with you 100. Can I say 105%? Is there such a thing?
I'd prefer like 106, 110.
You got it. I will not vote for something I haven't seen.
Councilmember McGee or Saraki?
I mean, I would say we're going to have to approve the site plan, correct?
Well, to Councilmember Beverland's point, there is a site plan. Yes, that would come back for council approval, but his issue is really about the building elevations. What is it going to look like? And of course, Mr. Tanico is well aware of the requirements of the Town Center Code and the architectural guidelines that he must comply with. And that the elevations, or what is it going to look like, will be an exhibit to the development agreement. So you'll know what does it look like. You don't have that to look at tonight, but you will know that before the development agreement, or when it comes to you, and it'll be, it requires 2 public hearings, so you'll see it at least twice in the future.
I have a suggestion, at the pleasure of the council. Doesn't really address Eric's concern about price, but maybe the impact fee component helps a little bit offset that. To Jerry's point, I would say that something is going to go in there, and I would venture to say that commercial property would probably be a bigger impact to the trees. Obviously, they'll replant like they did in my neighborhood. I know that doesn't answer your question completely and resolve it. I don't know the answer to this, but I have to assume that the library was that's right next door probably similarly had a large amount of trees, or no?
At the old
No,
community
it did
center.
not have.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It did not. It had a big parking lot.
Okay, so this is what I might suggest, I just talked to Tom about it, is that we can push this back and make it on the same agenda as the development agreement, where we can have a chance to review the site plan and address both items at the same time, probably development order agreement first, and then purchase of the sale after that. Because if we don't approve the development agreement, then we don't, then there's
But I
no-
would also say, Mr. Mayor, if we're going to ultimately table this, if that's the case, then it would make a lot of sense for us to have an appropriate appraisal done on it. If you look at the numbers and the amount of land on how it was appraised, it's like 1.8 million. And this is, what is it, 877?
Around 1.2.
Right, so there's a difference there that could be material, and I recognize we're not using it the same way, but even with an additional 400,000 into the mix, we should just know what the numbers are.
The
That's
weighted
my
number is
point.
1.3 something, right?
You know, it's kind of blind for us not to have that. I know we didn't have our new consultant in place, who would probably be of value, but we do now. And so it took us a long time. I'd hate for us to kind of rush something. And so we know everything before we move forward.
That should be the first step in the progress to bring this to council. The true evaluation with the true whatever it wasn't before.
And to that point, and I don't know if this makes sense, maybe because of time that elapsed, a little bit different scenario, but, you know, we own the property where Hayes Park is with John Buse. I don't know what the cost per acre, because we kind of did it per parcel. It was done a little bit different than in its entirety, but that might be a good frame of reference for us. I don't know if CBRE can accommodate that to give us a value to Eric's point for the adjusted use, you know.
What we did with that parcel is that we owned it and we partnered.
Right. No, I understand that.
Partnered with this people, but we partnered.
But it still has it still has a value to it. So, I mean, it's a comparable in the area for sure, so.
Well, I mean, that's what you use a professional for.
Right.
You know, for them to look at it and tell us, okay, this is what the market is, so now you know what you're doing. You can, you know, it just makes a lot more sense.
A little bit different, and I always forget the name of this, but the one at the end of 580 there, that's a residential piece of property that, you know, there's another residential component. It's waterfront, slightly different, but a high density, 160-something units. So, I mean, I don't see that as a problem. I have a feeling that we're probably pretty close just because of the way we negotiate deals, so.
Well, but I will say this, you know, I know that there are some others who are interested in the property as well. They just weren't aware, and in fairness, they didn't come to us with a plan and an idea, as did the current builder. But you know, our responsibility is to get the maximum results, not just money, but results.
And a maximum development.
Yeah, and so that's all I got, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. It's a little bit different of an animal. I know in being in the real estate group, you know, you're constantly aware of what's coming on the market. This never really went on the market. Although having said that, especially in the vacant land area department in Pinellas County, constantly looking for properties that, even though they might not be on the market, that are for sale. And I think that was probably the case that happened here. So, and no offense to John Buse, but he lives in the city. He owns property right across the street. So I know he knows of the property. So I don't know if that's who you're talking about. And,
Not
and I don't
Buse.
need the name for.
Yeah, but I mean, it's somebody who's worked with the city before. And my whole point is along the lines of, because I have faith in Bruce's ability that whoever we're working with is someone who's going to be quality, and that what's going to ultimately come to us is probably going to be forced to make sure it meets within the guidelines, but.
And not vote for something you haven't seen.
And also know for certain that, the value that is being fully recognized.
Okay. I mean, I'm not opposed to pushing this off and putting the 2 items on there. If Bruce, if you think we can, and if that's the consensus of the council, if we can get an updated value based on residential versus commercial, I don't think that should be too difficult to do.
Probably not. I mean, you might want
And Mayor?
to ask Mr. Tanico.
Okay, Mr. Tanica, I know you're here.
Mayor?
If you want to, yep, I'm sorry.
I only brought up the trees because I want to be contrary.
Plenty of other opportunities tonight, too.
Do you even know what that word means?
He's being,
You're being very good tonight.
yeah, he's
Thank you.
being very honest. No?
If you want to address, maybe you've heard kind of where we're at. We do seem a little bit backwards in this to some extent, but.
Okay, hi, my name is Tony Tanico. I'm here on behalf of Oldsmar Towns LLC. We are the developer of the property. I will say that this started back in, I was just looking at my notes here, in February. And I will agree with all of you that Bruce is a very tough negotiator. I promise you that. And what I did want to do, though, and to Councilmember Beaverland's, maybe provide him some comfort, give you a little bit of my backstory. As a young man, 17 years old, I moved with my mother from the Northeast down to Florida, and we lived in Lake St. George area. Tampa Road and Lake St. George, as we all know, is a stone's throw from really kind of where we are now. 20 years old, 3 years later, I joined the Marines, came back, and bought my starter home in Oldsmar. I was a young man then and starting a career in real estate. And as most Americans do, I think I was flipping through the channels at night and happened to see the city council hearings. And I think it was Mayor Beaverland at that time, yelling at people. Okay.
No, that's not our channel.
And I loved it. I was a resident. It's not so fun being on the other side, but as a resident, I certainly appreciated that, and I appreciate him being our local historian. And I think I may have even seen him on an episode of Pawn Stars once or twice. Was that you?
Yep.
That was me.
Okay, I saw you up there. And so it was during that time when I watched these city council hearings that I became interested in local politics through, at the time, Mayor Beaverland. And I think I went to Councilmember Miller's inaugural Oldsmar Citizens Academy.
Yeah.
And later became an alternate on the planning board. I remember Bernie, who since left, was very nice and welcomed me. And I remember him being on that board with me at that time. And it was 2008-ish, I think, and not much going on, so I left. And so while I'm no longer a resident of Oldsmar, I was here for 10 years, and I promise you I have roots in Oldsmar. And as I told Marie and Bruce during our initial meetings, I have nothing but the best of intents for this project. I want this to be a quality project. It's my community too. I want to be proud of it, and I promise you, you will be proud of it when it's done. It will be a great project. It will be beautiful. It will fit the area architecturally. It will fit the town center code, and in my opinion, exceed it. And so I'm a real estate developer. I work with national builders. I've recently went out on my own after 10 years with another developer who actually brought Wellington Estates and Tuscany Woods to the city of Oldsmar. So I like to think that we're seasoned, particularly in this area. We did another deal just outside Pinellas County line in for Double Branch Road where the new racetrack is. And that was another townhome project. So we're very good at what we do. We understand the market. I understand the price per acre. Appraisals make me nervous. The They're oftentimes, to me, not worth the paper they're printed on. There's a lot of things that go into residential development that appraisers never pick up. How much fill does it need? There's in this case, a land dedication fee, a city stormwater fee. The appraisers never pick that up. They don't know it. They don't get it. And as I said, it depends on who orders the appraisal. If I order the appraisal, it would come in lower than if you ordered the appraisal. I would guarantee you that.
But don't you need an appraisal even to go do financing with?
No. Ultimately, we will, but, we've been doing it so long, and we know the project, and we know the market, and really the land is kind of the last piece of the puzzle. The land is really set by what you could sell your house for, minus your expenses, meeting some hurdle rate. And that's what really you can pay for the land. And that's really, the appraisers sort of don't get that. At least the ones that I've dealt with, okay? And so they make me nervous to some extent when it comes to this sort of appraisal. I can tell you that I think at Tuscany Woods we're paying more than we did over there, and we've done 2 or 3 projects right in this area more than any other developer. And I'll guarantee you what you'll find is the purchase price we're talking about here today is more than what we paid in those. And that's a result of the market going up and really doing a higher end product. Remember, I said the top line is the revenue minus the expenses. So really sort of how much of a house can you sell there? We intend to do 3-story, beautiful, upscale townhomes. Certainly better than what you're seeing at Tuscany Woods, what you're seeing that Mattamy is doing. It's a higher end product. That's what it's going to be. And so, really sort of the uncertainty jeopardizes to some extent the overall deal. I'm working with national builders, and we like certainty. We've certainly spent tens of thousands of dollars getting to this point. The site plan is part of your package here tonight. So in terms of the site plan, you know what you're getting. In terms of the renderings, you don't, but you will. And at that time, you certainly can vote no. I'm not telling you how to vote. Obviously, I'm a bit biased and want you to vote so we can proceed with this project, get this development agreement negotiated, get those renderings in there, and move on down the road and bring a great quality project to downtown Oldsmar. And that's what I want to do, nothing more, nothing less. And I promise you that's what it will be.
Yeah, but it's not part of it. Okay.
Your integrity, I do, because you have lived in Oldsmar, and that says a lot about it.
Yeah, I do too.
My roots are in Oldsmar, I promise you.
I do too, but I'm just going to say this to you with all due respect. I have no doubt it'll be a quality project and everything else, but I'm not going to just take your word that it's worth what it's worth because you said it is. I mean, you can appreciate that, right?
Sure.
And so, and I'm sure that we'll be able to find a viable appraiser, and while you've spent tens of thousands, we've spent hundreds of thousands buying that property over many, many years. So, fair is fair.
I guess maybe my question would be, and I know I do residential, but, if there are ever things, and I asked this of Bruce and I guess of the client, if there, I know in residential property, if there are things that needed to be considered when there's an appraisal on a project that I'm doing either as the seller or the buyer's agent, I try and make sure that they're aware of kind of the anomalies that, you may not see on another property that, and I agree with you, sometimes appraisers, they want to get in and out. I've seen them come in and out of a project in 10 minutes and be done with it. So I do appreciate that component of it, and I would guess that if there are things that need to be considered that are unique to this project, that those probably be taken into consideration.
Why don't we just bring in our consultant that we have on contract and let them give us their opinion
Right.
of it?
No, I understand that, but if there are anomalies that they need to look at,
So, and this isn't anything to take anything away from Bruce, by no stretch of the imagination.
Sure.
But, that's why we hired this consultant to do those things for us. And, I'm so upset about it, Bruce, I don't want you back here.
I think you're safe there.
Still have something to say about that.
So I guess this is a two-part question that I'll ask is, do we want to push this back and have it brought to us at the time of development agreement, which will also have the site plan, I guess development agreement first, then purchase price? That's one question. Second question is do we have a consensus about having CBRE review the property? I guess two separate items. Do we want to push these two items back to the next agenda?
Is that just to the next meeting?
Well, right now, you got a motion on the floor.
Okay, motion and a second.
The motion or...
Yeah, we do have a motion and a second on this item, but
Your motion was for an appraisal?
I didn't make a motion. I think Dan made a motion.
The motion was for approval of this, but we can amend the,
Or withdraw it.
or withdraw it.
Withdraw it.
Who made the motion?
Gabby made it?
I moved, so we can discuss.
Yeah, just to discuss, that's fine.
I'll withdraw the motion on the.
Okay, and second?
I will withdraw mine.
Okay, so we have no motion, so either a fresh motion or a motion to at least move the two items, or a motion to move the two items with the intention of getting CBRE to do appraisals, so it's,
I guess my question would just be, would it be on the next meeting that we would be voting? Because I want to make sure we're not delaying this significantly.
well, I guess when would the development agreement be coming towards us anyway? Because then this could easily be added. When was that?
The development agreement won't be ready. It still has to go to the planning board, which is scheduled for October. When the development agreement goes to the planning board, I think the first council public hearing could be October 17th. I mean, somebody else in the room might know. And the second one, November, first meeting November. The schedule is to have it completed. I think the deadline or the outside date was November 17th, or the second meeting in November.
And I guess to the points that are being made tonight, which is, does seem to be a little bit somewhat backwards, so it'll be sometimes in November before the second meeting with the development agreement? Is that what I'm hearing, roughly?
We would expect the development agreement really to be completed before it goes to the planning board.
Right.
And that meeting is October 11th, so it's not that far away. It won't, I don't foresee it coming back in 2 weeks, though.
Okay.
Okay. So whatever that meeting is after October 11th for the first pass, correct?
Second council meeting in October would be the 17th.
Right.
Well, I'll make a motion that we delay it to the 17th and include the purchase agreement, the development agreement, and an opinion from our consultant.
I'll second that.
Is that clear?
Yeah, I have a question about,
Right.
you're looking for CBRE to give an opinion on the value of the property based on this project.
Correct.
And you're not, and I say that as opposed to, you're not looking for an MIA appraisal.
That is correct.
Okay. Yeah, I'm
I'd
clear.
be
I'm clear on
comfortable with that.
I'm clear on
Yeah,
that.
an
Yes.
opinion on that. Yeah.
Because they're going to know as time progresses more and more, all of the little idiosyncrasies.
Agreed.
And so that's, it's a good place for them to work.
Okay. So
There was a motion and a second.
motion and a second to move these both to October 17th and an opinion of them that would be tied to maybe.
Opinion of value.
On the property.
That would accompany the
We're going to ask
agenda
CBRE
item.
to provide. I got it.
Yeah, that would accompany the purchase price
I
of the
think-
thing, yeah, okay.
So really, the motion is to postpone till October 17th.
Correct.
And those other things will be added into it, which,
Correct.
Okay.
Motion and second?
Yeah, you got him.
Okay, all those in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Tony, I have one question for you. What are you guys expecting
Price point?
if the development goes through, price point on the townhomes?
High twos, low threes.
What's the square footage of them?
It'll vary, it's on the site plan. I don't want to misspeak here.
It's kind of broken up on the site plan.
1,560 to 2,100.
Seems like a low price almost, I would think. For
I don't know what that-
luxury townhomes of that size.
There you go.
I'm surprised. Yeah,
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tony, appreciate it.
Next. Yeah, 5-0.
okay.
We're all-
I was asleep, I guess,
I
during
didn't even
that
remember
part.
making the motion, so.
Okay, item 11, authorize renewal of the contract with the Florida Municipal Insurance Trust for medical insurance and the standard for dental and life AD&D insurance coverage for the upcoming fiscal year. For this is part of our employee benefit program. The medical portion, we're looking at a 7% increase, which, given the current market in the Tampa Bay area in the state of Florida, is, I would have to say, reasonable. No change in the dental or life insurance. you have any questions or comments, I'd be happy to respond to those. I recommend that you authorize renewal of the contracts with the Florida Municipal Insurance Trust.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, can I have a motion and a second? All right. Motion and a second. I can tell you that being on the board of the PSTA, one of the huge ticket items is health insurance for them, partially because a lot of their drivers are older, second careers, things like that, but definitely insurance is something that we're all.
7% is.
What were we've been like, it's been like 5 or 6 the past, something like that. We were at one point looking at it.
Like last year was only 3 or 4, and
Yeah.
the year before that it was none, but we've seen them higher
I
than
was gonna say,
7.
didn't we, in the past, like an 11?
We've had a fairly
11 or 12?
good run over the last few years, and since the wellness clinic has opened, we believe that's of value to us as well.
We have 22 employees that we pay 100% of their health care. In the last so many years since the Affordable Care Act passed, became law, our costs have gone up on a combined basis, 36%. 7%, sounds
Anyway.
pretty good.
Okay, need a motion?
You got one.
Oh, I got you down there. Oh, yeah, we did it. I forgot to ask. Motion and a second. I'm with me and Bruce.
We're just running out of gas tonight.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Well, because we started at 5 o'clock today, so
It's about.
my brain is checking out.
Okay, thank you. Mayor and council, item 12, authorize the city attorney to prepare an ordinance annexing West Oldsmar, Section 1, Block 18, Lot 7. The address is 3153 Huron Avenue. This is a voluntary annexation at the request of the property owner. It has been reviewed by the planning board. They recommended the city council authorize an annexation ordinance to be prepared. If you have any questions or comments, I'd be happy to respond to those. Tonight, I am recommending you authorize the city attorney to prepare an annexation ordinance for 3153 Huron Avenue.
All right, thank you. Need a motion?
So move.
Second?
Second.
Motion and a second.
Gary?
Gary, what's your comment?
One at a
One at a
time.
time. I distracted him. I asked
One
if he
at a
wanted more
time.
coffee.
There you go. Come on,
I got him
Gary.
off his game there.
Sorry about that.
I'm sorry, it's been a,
Didn't mean to derail you. We got a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. 5-0.
Thank you. Item 13, authorize the city attorney to prepare ordinances amending the land use from county designation of residential low medium to city designation of residential urban. And this is for 3 lots previously annexed into the city. Would also be a rezoning, a separate rezoning ordinance from county R4, 1, 2, and 3 family to city R3 residential 2 and 3 family district. I'd like to ask Marie Dauphiné, our Planning and Development Director, to give you a little more background. And item 14 is very similar. Maybe you could just cover them both while you're up
Yeah,
here,
well,
Marie.
we want to put our own designation on these properties and for consistency. And really the difference between item 13 and 14 is on the north side of State Road 580, the rezoning is from 1, 2, and 3 family to city designation of R3, 2 and 3 family. And on the south side of 580, it's, for the rezoning, it's from R3, the county designation, to the city designation of R2. So it's just the rezoning that's really different on these 2 items. And it's kind of like we wait till we get a big bunch together, like these are,
Catch them all up.
yeah, so we don't bore you.
Little housekeeping. All right.
Thanks, Marie.
Thank you, Marie.
Do you need a motion?
I need a motion. Let's, can we motion both together or no? Should we
Motion
okay.
to approve item number 13 and 14 as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any other discussion?
second.
Okay, you can do that too if you want.
Throw that in.
Yep, just throw that in. You want to get second, Gabby?
I'll do it thirds.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Passes with a motion and 2 seconds and 5 votes.
Very good, thank you. Item 15, adopt resolution 2716 approving funding agreement, authorizing the city manager to execute agreement and accepting future maintenance of Burbank Road improvements. So this is related to our $1.5 million grant that the state has awarded us for the construction of Burbank Road. As the council's aware, the project's delayed due to the necessity of relocating our Florida Gas Transmission having to relocate a gas main. The existing agreement stipulated that we would start construction by this December. Of course, we know now that's not going to happen. So this is amending that agreement to extend the time frame to construction to start by 2019 and completed by 2020. Hopefully that schedule will not extend that long, but at least that is provided for in the amendment. So I'll read the resolution by title only. This is Resolution 2017-16, a resolution of the City Council of Oldsmar, Florida, approving the form of an Economic Development Transportation Project Fund Agreement, time extension agreement, authorizing the execution and delivery of the extension agreement by the city manager and providing for an effective date. That's the reading of Resolution 2017-16 by title only. I recommend its adoption. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to respond to those.
Thank you. Need a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on this? Bruce and I talked about it today, and I mean, I think Florida Gas is finally on board with us and at least somewhat cooperating with us, as opposed to just pushing us down the road a little bit, trying to resolve this. They just need to figure out what makes the most sense. So I'm glad the state is willing to extend this, since it's no fault of our own that this is happening. So any other thoughts, Eric?
Nope.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye. 5-0.
Thank you. Mayor and council, the next item, approve Women's Club lease renewal. The current lease expires in November, and this is a renewal for another 5-year term. There are no other changes in the terms of the lease, only change the dates. It's already been executed by the president of the Women's Club. I recommend its approval. If you have any questions or comments, I'd be happy to respond to those.
Need a motion?
Second.
Second.
We're breaking the bank here.
Motion and a second. The only comment I really have is I don't know when the last time they did it, but an update would be, I know that's always been a contention of mine, and I know they've reached out to kind of replenish the herd, I guess, if you will, to bring some fresh blood into it and get some ideas, and just, I'd be curious what they're doing, how we can work together better.
They hosted us not too long ago.
That's right, I wasn't able to make it. I had a conflict, I apologize.
So they've been keeping up.
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's my mistake, so.
Paul is really involved, and they're doing a great job.
Yeah.
They have a lot of new members.
Good.
They meet every month.
Yeah, good. So,
Although I thought we should go from $1 a year to like $2 a year.
I think it's 5.
5?
It's 5.
Never mind.
out of control.
We were laughing about that.
Is it lump sum?
It's $1 a year, a total of $5.
Oh, yeah,
a total of $5.
It's a total of 5.
Lump,
$1 a year.
Breaking the bank.
Should have gone for $10.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Thank you. The next item is a public hearing on Resolution 2017-13, establishing the millage rate for fiscal year 2017-18. 2 weeks ago, the council, by resolution, adopted a tentative millage rate of 4.05 mils, the same as the previous year. Back in July, you authorized the city manager to provide that information to the property appraiser. That was included on all the trim notices that went out to property owners last month. So I'll read the resolution. This is Resolution 2017-13, a resolution of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, setting the millage levy for the City of Oldsmar for the year beginning October 1, 2017 and ending September 30, 2018. Whereas the City Council of the City of Oldsmar, Florida has reviewed the proposed appropriations for the City of Oldsmar for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2017 and ending September 30, 2018. And whereas in accordance with the law, the Pinellas County Property Appraiser has certified to the City of Oldsmar a rollback millage rate of 3.918 mils. And whereas the proposed millage rate is greater than the rollback rate by 3.37%, now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, in session duly and regularly assembled as follows. 1, that the City Council of the City of Oldsmar, Florida hereby sets the millage rate for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2017 and ending September 30, 2018 at 4.05 mils. 2, that this resolution shall become effective immediately upon adoption. That's the reading of Resolution 2017-13. I recommend its adoption.
It's your last one of these. Is that all right?
I got another resolution to read.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I know. Yeah, I meant.
Last millage rate.
That's millage rate, though. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I need a motion?
So move.
Oh, I'm sorry. It is a public hearing. Does anybody wish to address the public on this item? Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. I need a motion.
So move.
Second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on this? You've done a great job, you and the staff, I got to say. I don't remember the years they seem to run together, and I think we've had the same millage rate for quite some time, but progressively gone down for even a longer period of time. I don't know what those years are, but we all know they're a lot. So especially when you meet and I meet with other municipalities, that's not always the case. So kudos to you and the staff for that. So if any other discussion on the item? Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Seidel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Saraki?
Yes.
Councilmember McKee?
Yes.
Councilmember Beverly?
Yes.
Mayor Beavis?
Aye.
Resolution 2017-13, establishing the millage rate for fiscal year 2017-2018 is adopted with 5 votes for and 0 against.
Thank you. Item 18, this will also be a public hearing on Resolution 2017-14, establishing the budget for fiscal year 2017-18. The proposed budget was presented to council on July 14th. The council conducted a budget work session on August 11th. The first public hearing adopting a tentative budget was held 2 weeks ago on September 5. Florida statutes require a separate vote for the adoption of the budget and the millage rate. Just completed adoption of the millage rate for the upcoming year. I'll read Resolution 2017-14. A resolution of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, adopting the budget appropriations for the City of Oldsmar for the year beginning October 1, 2017 and ending September 30, 2018. Whereas the City Council of the City of Oldsmar, Florida has reviewed the proposed appropriations for the City of Oldsmar for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2017 and ending September 30, 2018. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Oldsmar, Florida in session duly and regularly assembled as follows. 1, that the City Council of the City of Oldsmar, Florida does hereby establish the appropriations for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2017 and ending September 30, 2018 as follows. See attached Schedule A, pages 1 to 7. The General Fund, $14,480,470. Public Safety Impact Fund, $42,000. Parkland Dedication Fund, $70,500. Multimodal Impact Fund, $45,500. Community Redevelopment Agency Fund, $687,000. Debt Service, Veterans Memorial Park, $171,810. Capital Improvement Fund, $9,325,000. Water and Sewer Operating Fund, $9,024,500. Water and Sewer Impact Fund, $148,000. Stormwater Utility Fund, $855,500. Solid Waste Fund, $2,719,215. Total budget appropriations, $37,569,765. Section 2, all purchase orders for materials and services that remain open at year-end FY 16-17 are to become supplemental appropriations in the respective departmental accounts in the fiscal year ending September 30, 2018, unless canceled. That's the reading of Resolution 2017-14. I read the entire resolution, reading in its entirety. I recommend its adoption. Requires a public hearing.
This is a public hearing. Does anybody wish to address this item? Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. Need a motion? Second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on this item? No? Again, kudos to the staff for the great work that they do as well. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Seidel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Saraki?
Yes.
Councilmember McKee?
Yes.
Councilmember Beverly?
Yes.
Mayor Beavis?
Aye.
Resolution 2017-14, establishing the budget for fiscal year 2017-18 is adopted with 5 votes for and 0 against.
Thank you. Next item is status report on the sustainability program. I'd like to ask our Public Works Director, Nan Bennett, to begin the report and the presentation. It does not require, there's nothing to vote on tonight. It's a status report and update.
Good evening. Nan Bennett, Public Works Director. I think most of you are aware that we have a new sustainability coordinator. She's been with us about 4 months now, and her name is Trista Brophy, and she comes to us with a master's degree in sustainability from the Patel College of Global Sustainability at USF, and she's doing a terrific job. She's going to tell you what she's been doing for the past 4 months and what she plans to do into the future.
Thanks, Ann.
Welcome. Good evening.
I'll get to that. Adam, can
Calm down, Mayor.
And before I introduce myself, I just want to say this has been the most interesting and exciting city council that I've been to. And it's a great introduction, as this is my first, so thanks for all of the excitement this evening.
Your best one and your worst one.
It's the best so far, absolutely. So I'm Trista Brophy. I'm the new sustainability coordinator. As Nan said, I've been with the city about 4 months, and it's going pretty well. It's going pretty well. So I'm happy to give you some really positive notes this evening. So I'm going to talk to you for a few minutes about what we're presently doing. Some of you may have seen we did a sunshine mimosa planting along Lafayette Boulevard. That was in partnership with Keep Pinellas Beautiful. We basically planted the drought and salt tolerant sunshine mimosa. Hopefully, we would like to extend that in the future. Keep Pinellas Beautiful has agreed to supply plants in the future as we move forward with any of these medians or any other projects that we come up with. So that's really great partnership.
And I did see the emails that went back and forth. These mimosas have nothing to do with the ones that you have at Sunday brunch. I did see that.
Unfortunately.
The moment you said that, the mayor's ears perked up.
I saw the emails.
We've also scheduled an international coastal cleanup, also in partnership with Keep Pinellas Beautiful. That is scheduled for Saturday, October 21st. We will have 2 site locations. One of those is going to be at Mobley Beach Park, and the other will be at Mobley Wilderness Preserve. That will run from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., and it's very fortunate that we've got a really great group of people here at the city, so multiple departments are helping out with that, especially leisure services. We do need volunteers, so all of you will be there, right?
Yeah, depending.
We are a certified green local government under the Florida Green Building Coalition, but it is turning time for us to recertify that. We were certified in 2013 as a silver level, but I would like to push us to get gold level this time around, which means we're going to need 63 new points, and I think that we can do this. The city's made a lot of great upgrades under the leadership of Bruce, and we're pretty close to getting these 63, and I'm looking forward to future meetings with all of you to try to push that little bit extra that we need. I think that we can do it. The Drive Electric event, that has been something we've always done in September. We had a lot of feedback from vendors and potential sponsors that said it's in the middle of hurricane season, it's too hot, it's too rainy. We're not really interested in doing it in September this year. If you push it back, we'll be involved. So that's what we did. City of Dunedin said that they would be on board for doing something in December as well. We've tentatively set the date for December 16th with a car showcase and sustainable green vendors. We're still trying to decide on the best location for that. We also submitted a grant this past week to the Tampa Bay Estuary Program, and that is for a $5,000 grant. If we win it, it will be used to build a rain garden and some educational exhibits, as well as a picture post, which is a really cool project I'm excited about. So essentially that'll be a post that you can set a camera on top, snap it, and there'll be a QR code on the post. You can send it and upload it. So we can have a digital visualization over the years of what a particular piece of landscape looks like. So I'll work with Leisure Services to find the best spot for that if we get it.
That's cool.
Nice.
That's neat.
Very nice.
Right? That's
I like
exciting.
I like it.
I'm sorry, I didn't tell you the location. This will be at the Environmental Education Center, which is at Mobley Beach, not Mobley Beach, Mobley Wilderness Preserve. So where can we go from here? The previous sustainability coordinator held regular meetings, and I would like to transition that into a kind of lunch and learn that's open both for employees as well as the public community. And they'll be short, fun, very interactive, so not necessarily watching a presentation for 30 minutes, but actually getting involved. And I'd like to bring in some guest speakers for that. I'm hoping to get this off the ground running in January. The UF IFAS Pinellas Extension has agreed to partner with us to help include more Florida-friendly landscaping, and this is something that I've been talking with Felicia Donnelly at Leisure Services about. And part of the push for this is we can earn up to 10 points for the Florida Green Building Coalition. So if we can install more Florida-friendly landscaping, it's a win-win on both counts there. I would also like to look at and consider adding a sustainability portion to the comprehensive plan. This is something I've discussed with the planning department to address critical infrastructure, resource needs, and potential climatic impacts.
Just what is that?
I'm sorry, what is?
What is what you just said?
Climatic impacts?
That's right.
Right, so that could be flooding or extreme heat. Those are two of the things that would affect the city of Oldsmar directly.
And how are you going to do that?
Well, there's this guide right here, the APA comprehensive plan. So this, I really don't have a solution for it yet. This is something that we're...
No, because we always have a plan for that.
Well, the city of Oldsmar doesn't have a sustainability portion, and so it's been recommended by planning that we look at Pinellas County's sustainability portion that they have recently added to their comp plan and try to model after that, looking at incorporating some...
And what would that accomplish for the city of Oldsmar?
Well, it would increase resiliency. So essentially...
The word resiliency for me.
Sure. Resiliency is the ability to bounce back after some kind of disaster. So for example, right now, we're trying to clean up after Hurricane Irma. So having something in place that really details how we're going to do things better using more, really less of our resources, but more wisely.
Okay. I just want to introduce myself to you.
I got a really great introduction earlier.
Do I have the opinion? Continue.
It was only a matter of time.
I was waiting.
I also love oak trees, so I was sitting in the corner. I said, okay, I can get on board with this guy. Yeah. And the last thing, this is the Mayors for 100% Clean Energy. It's also called Cities for 100% Renewable. Dunedin, Safety Harbor, and St. Pete have all agreed to move towards 100% renewable. What I would like to see happen in the future is have Sierra Club's Phil Compton come in and speak with you about what this means. This is a Sierra Club initiative and how it could affect the city, what we could do to move this forward. That is all I have, and I do want to end with a thank you to Bruce for all of his contributions to the sustainability program. Although I'm new, I can tell you that it's set up really well, and that's going to make my job a lot easier in the future, and I look forward to working with Al to continue moving us forward.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Great job. One more comment.
Of course you do, I welcome it.
The city of Oldsmar has sustained, I always say that word wrong, sustained itself well over the last 100 years. So keep us going.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I will, thank you.
Thank you for that. Look forward to it.
Are there any questions?
Nope, I think we're good. Keep me updated on the mayor's thing, and Phil, I know we talked about it, but yep, sounds good.
Absolutely, thank you.
Anything else?
That's it for me tonight.
You had a bunch tonight, too.
Well, I was trying to give Al a little break,
Were you?
in the beginning.
Clear off your desk. Yeah.
I put everything on here I could possibly get on it.
So who sets the next agenda, you or him?
Well, actually, we've already been working on it together.
Yeah, okay. Just curious. City clerk?
Well, earlier tonight, we were short-staffed for cleaning up after the reception because a lot of our office actually works here during the meeting. And Bryn Frazier from Leisure Services helped out Chris Hannon to clean up in the back. And that's just a small example of the kind of culture that's been built over the years where we really come in and help each other. And so I just want to say thank you, Bruce.
Awesome. Awesome.
You're welcome.
City council.
Team.
Oh, yes, it does. Yes, I apologize. City council approve the excused absence of council member Jerry Beaverland.
So moved.
Second. Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0. Next is schedule a work session on medical marijuana. And we have a couple of dates. October 10th and October 24th, both are Tuesdays at 4 o'clock.
Gabby, can you do like one at 9 o'clock in the morning? Would that work for
Oh,
you?
these don't work for you?
I can't do the 10th. I'm in Vancouver for a tech data work conference that entire week, but I could do the 24th.
24th
Do you
doesn't
guys
matter.
have a conflict with the 24th?
No, the 24th is okay.
Okay, yeah, it's just the 10th.
24th, unless
Eric?
Works for me. I'll make it work.
works for you, okay. 24th it is, at 4 o'clock in the work
Right,
session,
that's
right?
fine.
Okay. 24th, next is consider canceling the second regular council meeting in December.
Mayor, I make a motion that we cancel the second meeting in December for the next 10 years.
I'll make a 10-year second.
All in favor?
Well, I don't know that we can make a motion like that. Well, the motion on the table is just for this year, if that's okay. Okay? Do I have a motion for this year's meeting?
Yeah, you got it.
And a second.
Second.
Wow. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You had a big bowl of funny tonight, didn't you?
Yeah.
Before you came. Next is comments by council members, and we'll start with the senior member of our council, Mr. Jerry Beaverland.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank the staff. Hated himself during the hurricane. That includes everybody from the streets department, sewer department, the rec department, the water department, the city hall, the fire department, anybody that worked for the city. They went above and beyond during the hurricane, and those that was at the command center, y'all did an incredible job. I want to thank everybody for their the flowers, the phone calls, food, the cards. Our incredible fire department that worked over my son for almost an hour. I want to thank everybody that loved my son. I really didn't want to be here tonight, Mayor, but Sean would have wanted me to. Just thank everybody for who you are. Yeah.
Thank you. And you know, our thoughts and prayers are with you, and Sean would have wanted you to be here tonight. That's what you are. You're part of this city. And so anything you need from us, definitely just let us know.
I know that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember McGee?
My condolences to you, Jerry and Wanda, your family. And we want you to be here too, so I thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I know it can't be easy. I had a couple comments. Of course, it goes without saying, Bruce. I will cry too for you as well, because you've been an amazing city manager and friend, and you and Rita are just so lucky to be a part of this
You know,
council.
you've got a box of Kleenex there, and I've got one over here. We might have to use them.
Yeah. But just appreciate all of your guidance and wisdom, and just what an outstanding human being that you are. And, you know, when I first moved here and I was 21, I was one of those people that thought Oldsmar was old. And it wasn't the first place on my list of places where I wanted to move to or live. It was within my budget. And then when I saw the house, I fell in love with it. And the first person that I actually met with was Jerry and Wanda. They opened up their home to me and my mother. And because of that, I fell in love with the city and I bought the house. Luckily, it was mine.
And we're glad you're here.
And now I'm here today. So it's pretty amazing how all those things happen in life. But I am extremely grateful for the opportunity to sit next to you especially, and learn from you and grow from you, and Rita, and thank you for all of your dedication, and never without question any of your judgment and the way you've led the city. So you will be missed, and I'm very excited for Al to sit next to me and to continue working with him in the city. So I can't say enough good things about you, but really, really appreciate it. I'm excited for your retirement, and I look forward to seeing your pictures. Because now that you won't be the city manager, we can be friends on Facebook. And I'm looking forward to your adventures. And maybe we'll do some family trips together.
That'll be fun.
And I also wanted to say, I really appreciate, on top of Jerry's comments, for the staff and the council members that were here for the hurricane. I evacuated, my family evacuated, and then I had a really difficult time getting back with canceled flights. But I appreciate everyone that stayed and supported the Emergency Operations Center, and Deb and Ann for the constant updates on what was going on. And I know it's not easy even for like your spouses or family members that were in other states. I know I certainly wouldn't want to leave a family member here when, something like that's coming to work. So I really appreciate everyone that stayed, and my thanks for keeping the city going and being there for our residents on all of our behalf. I also wanted to say that from Trista's presentation, it's quite fitting. Right before the hurricane occurred, I was on vacation, and I had the opportunity to visit Iceland, and probably maybe a few of that I know Dean has been, and really interesting. One of the things I really loved was the country runs entirely on renewable energy, and such a remote place. It's like being on Mars. I mean, just the landscape is so very.
Is that your next trip, Mars?
Could be. It's really awe-inspiring, but just so progressive, surprising for such a remote location. No pesticides are ever used in the country at all. Everything is organic. All of the animals and things that are bred there stay there. You can't bring other animals into the country. So it was quite amazing, especially about the renewable energy. Really inspiring. I think we can learn from other countries that are doing so well and really being successful. So I just wanted to mention that. And then also, lastly, I would say is I do plan to run again. My term is up in March, and I'm fortunate enough to have the opportunity for another third term. And I just want to say I'm really honored to be here with all of you, and I really do echo Rita's comments that this is the best council. I think we have the best dynamic. I really love you outside of this role, and I know that we are very unique compared to probably any other council, and even the way that we work together and respect each other. So just thank you for the opportunity. Really appreciate it.
Mayor, I apologize. She just brought it up. I will tell you what I think about you later on this month.
Next Friday.
There's more than one finale, isn't there? Yes. So.
And I'll tell you how I feel. Of course, you already know.
I'm only crying tonight, though.
Okay, I'm with you on that one.
And in 52 years, a hurricane has never chased us out of our house. Never.
Councilmember Sareki, Vice Mayor Sareki.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a couple things. First of all, Jerry, my condolences to you and Wanda. I'm very sorry. I really am. Devastated, actually. I met Sean first time knocking on his door when I was campaigning against Gabby. And he came right to the door, and we talked for over 20 minutes.
You didn't hear that, did you?
No, I didn't hear.
She said that was your first mistake.
I know. It was Gabby, I know. But anyways, that's one thing. I stopped over at the fire department to see the emergency operations. And I thought Bruce was gonna cut my head off. He said, "What are you doing here? You need to evacuate." But I did like your new glasses. But what happened was I did not evacuate immediately. What ended up happening is helping other neighbors prepare their homes so that they were safe. So that's my role for 2 days. And then finally, the morning the storm was coming in, I grilled some chicken, so I had food for dinner, and then I evacuated.
Wow, that's a shock.
He made a sandwich on the way out the door.
That's,
You opened a chicken stand at the
I
corner.
was grilling, and that's first band was coming in. I'm like, all right, I gotta get out of here. So we left. But thank you, Bruce, for telling me to evacuate. I do appreciate that. And then the next thing I want to say is, Bruce, I wanted to say that during the time as a council member, and I sat down with you to talk to you about the centennial. And I'll never forget, I came to your office and I said, "Bruce, I want to do Fifth Fridays. I want to do a centennial concert. I want to have a parade. I want to have a dinner dance." And you said, "Dan,
Get out of my office."
I like the idea. Go ahead and do it." Not once did you say we could not do it. You believed in those dreams and those goals, and that's why we got this award today. It's because of you. Agreed. And you let me do that, those goals and dreams, and I appreciate everything you did. Your leadership, I'm going to miss that. Really, and thank you so much for everything you've done. And I'm going to miss that, and I'm looking forward to working with Al, but I just want to say that it's been great sitting up here, and it's going to be a little weird not having you up here, but thank you so much. And that's all I have. That's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Councilmember Sidell?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I got a few things. Jerry, you're in our prayers, you and Wanda and the entire family. And Sean actually put my sign up in his yard. Just, just thought I'd point that out.
I was running against you. He had Gabby's sign.
I know. I know that's. Anyhow, we're thinking of it.
You've been a good friend.
Yeah. Hey, I just want to comment, like everyone else, I won't spend a lot of time on it, how hard everyone worked on the storm to keep everyone safe. That matters. I mean, it's such a big deal, such a big undertaking, and the staff that worked so many hours, and the first responders who were, keeping us safe, and the citizens, opening up their homes to those who didn't have power, or going out. I know Ginger was being a hero, I heard, out running around doing sandbags and helping neighbors, and Dan and I were even out cutting up trees.
Yep.
And the Clarks as well, Matt and Sherry Clark. Matt got in his truck, and Sherry, and right after the storm, before anyone even got out there, was clearing roadways, and I'm sure there's dozens and dozens of other stories of how the whole community comes together, and it makes a difference. And so, and the mayor worked really hard. I thought that, the leadership that you provided during the storm, I think, honestly, adds a level of comfort to our citizens. And I think you did a really good job, Mr. Mayor, and I want to make a point of telling you that. So,
Thanks. Thank you.
You don't always get to hear that, so.
Thanks.
Unless you're talking to
No.
yourself, but it was too good to be true, you know that. I just had to give you a little bit of a hard time. But seriously, and the staff and of course Bruce's experience at this, it makes a difference. So anyhow, and I would ask, while we're on the storm subject, some of you know this, my sister lives in St. Croix, and I got a news flash while we were up here that the storm started coming over earlier today, Maria, and that it's made landfall, and it's at 175 miles an hour, sustained winds. So if you're of the mind, if you keep them in your prayers, I would appreciate it. Get tough, right? I did want to also announce that I have made the decision to seek re-election since that process is about to start. And so I appreciate all the opportunity that I've been afforded, just like Gabby feels, and enjoy doing the people's work. And so I'm making that announcement and pressing forward, and you'll see me knocking on your door asking for your signature in a couple of weeks, so, in any event. And the last thing I have on my item is Bruce. I have really enjoyed working with you. I have learned a lot from you. We pretty much agreed on things, I think.
Over 50%.
At least 50%. But, you know, I've always appreciated, you know, it's a lot of people don't know unless you're on council or you've been on council, you know, the process you go through in preparing for a council meeting. And one of them is sitting down with the city manager and going over the agenda and other open items. And it is legitimately an opportunity to be educated and be prepared so that when you're up here, you know, you've had an opportunity to understand some of the, you know, we don't talk about every little thing up here. If we did, it would be a long, extra long meeting, right? And so sometimes I think people don't realize how much goes into it, and frankly, how much Bruce helps us prepare. And we don't always agree, and that's kind of my point, but getting all the honest information is what makes for good government. And I have never, ever once questioned anything that I was being told as being straight, factual, to the point, you know, and I think you and I might have even gone off the deep end on a few laughs that probably wouldn't have been okay if anybody else heard them, or Jeff would have reported on them, you know, but I've always appreciated that, and I have absolutely respected it, and have always been a fan of yours, even when we didn't agree. And so there's not much more to say other than stay young at heart, kind in spirit, and I hope that your next chapter is your best chapter, which is going to be hard to top for the one that you just had here. Thank you, my friend. You will be missed.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That's all I got, Mr. Mayor.
And, you know, I echo everything, Jerry, Sean, I can't imagine, and you've gone through several of these, and that part has to be tough. I just can't imagine, so our thoughts are with you and your family and Wanda, and I talked to her when you guys were leaving, and, you know, just to know that we're thinking of you and your family, and it just, you know.
Thank you, man.
Yeah. Exciting news. My last meeting on the PSTA is next Wednesday. So it's tough. You were on the PSTA, and it's a lot different animal. I'm glad we extended it to 3 years because I felt like I was much more effective, but I'll be glad to get my Wednesdays and some other days that back that consume that. EOC, I got to say, I was part of that process. I was fortunate that my family lives out in Ruskin, and they were pretty high and dry. They did board up, so I felt safe that they were secure out there, and I just felt in my heart that it was the thing to do, is to be here at the city and help however I can, whether it's, you know, disseminating information through my personal Facebook page or through the city Facebook page. But I will tell you, the one thing that I found both interesting and comforting was the amount of work that has gone into it, not only from a city level, but from a county level and a state level, with the communications between our EOC, the county EOC, the State Department, and the efforts that go in ahead of time, so that when something like this happens and we activate it, that we know what we're doing and everybody's ready. I think we've been tested a couple of times, but this really put us to the test, and the different departments and how they interacted. Bruce's leadership there was phenomenal. Everybody cooperated, from the logistics and the planning team to the PIO and everybody else involved with that. It was really an interesting process. I mentioned this when I was on 970 WFLA last Friday when they were asking about how we did, and it's a lot funnier now, some of the things that we laugh about because of the outcome, but at the time it was very serious. But, you know, sitting there, I was sitting next to Al, and, you know, there wasn't a lot you could do other than continue to update people. We just sat and watched that hurricane, and, you know, it kept telling us it was going to be Cat 4 coming straight at us, Cat 4 coming straight at us. And the one thing I definitely want to emphasize is don't roll back on your heels as residents to think that, I withstand, you know, this hurricane. If that had been a Cat 4 and came at us, we'd have been a mess, but we'd have been in trouble. And to that point, it was kind of funny. Somebody mentioned it, and I repeated it on 970, but it was like when you were a kid, and for Gabby, that was like 6 years ago. But, you know, and your mom sent you to your room and said, go in your room and wait till your dad comes home. So you went in your room, and you didn't know when Dad was coming home, and you didn't know how bad he was going to beat your butt. So that was kind of what sitting at watching that hurricane. And but I got to really, again, it really goes to the things that we have said ever since I've been on council and been mayor, that this city, this council, these departments and department heads and the residents really come together. And this was a prime example of that. And so, you know, a lot of people went to bed earlier. I stayed up till about 1:30 just to make sure I was extra tired. And you know, we had cots set up, and people had air mattresses. But I think a lot of people, not just in our EOC, but a lot of people around the community, not just Oldsmar, but they went to bed at about 11:30, not exactly sure what they were going to wake up to in the morning, if they were going to wake up to anything. Kind of in a weird way, where we were at, was at Nielsen, you know, in a Cat 5 building, but no windows, no nothing. You couldn't hear anything, you couldn't see anything unless you went downstairs. And as it was, at least this was my personal take, is you're sitting there, you know, thinking, all right, I got to go to bed at some point, and you're in this bunker, and you don't really have a real grasp of the outside. But, you know, you didn't, again, I didn't, you didn't, we talked about it afterward. It's like, you know, you laid down at 11:30 thinking the worst, and woke up the next morning relieved a lot. So that was definitely a test of emotions and everything else. You know, I don't know what Bruce and the rest of the EOC team was going through, but, you know, all right, what the hell if it does hit us at a Category 4, and what it's going to look like. And, you know, if the worst we have is trees down for, you know, a couple of weeks. And, you know, I had somebody on Facebook, you know, jump in my face about stuff like that. But I would rather have a house that doesn't have electricity than electricity and not have a house. So again, to your family, keep us updated on that. And you know, there are still people down in the Keys that are struggling. So, but I think we dodged a huge bullet. To the Bruce thing, I mean, I've said enough. You know, everybody has said it. I think it's been, and I've kind of attested to it, to the leadership that you've brought, not only for me as a resident and a taxpayer, but to me as a council member first, and then the mayor of the city. You give us some great tools to work with as council members. And again, as Eric said, we don't necessarily always agree on everything, but I think we appreciate and respect everybody's opinion. Why they don't? It's not just because that's their opinion and they're never going to change, and no matter what you say, they're not going to listen. We do listen. I think we had somebody at one of the council meetings come up and accuse us of having our minds already made up on a particular issue. I don't know what it was, but that's not the case. And then to kind of close, I think it's been said several times, but I really think we have a great council. I know Retha has been able to spend time with us and us with her at the Florida League of Cities. We genuinely do enjoy hanging out and being around each other. It's not fake. It's not, you know, politics. We enjoy this part of it, but we enjoy the other part, because I think, you know, we truly do appreciate and have a friendship with everybody. You know, I don't know how many mayors have gotten up on a table with a Greek dancer and their city manager and danced. But I know me and my city manager, who will remain nameless 31 years, got up on a table. Was that a dream?
I think it was a dream on your part.
It was a nightmare on his.
But
Go ahead.
no, but I really, but I really do appreciate that, and I think your leadership, and I know Jerry encouraged me a long time ago to get involved in politics and has influenced a lot of people, but he knew what kind of city that you had developed, and I mentioned it earlier tonight, how this was the city that nobody really wanted to claim ownership of, and that's changed. That's changed drastically, and it's because of you and your staff, and so I'll shut up now and thank you for that. I know we ran some rough numbers today, and I think Hank Aaron had 755 home runs, and I think Bruce Haddock, if we calculate it right, plus or minus 740 council meetings, is that right, roughly? At least, so
Wow.
you and Hank Aaron, about 740.
150 of them were Jerry.
Yeah, probably, if you had to go back and do it, but thank you from the bottom of my heart as a resident and as a council member for everything that you've done. And as Eric said, hope the next chapter for you and Retha is just blessed for great things for you guys. And we know you won't forget about us. You probably won't friend me on Facebook because I post some really crazy stuff on there, but Retha can let you know about some of the things that if you want to filter me out to some extent like that. But with that, thank you again. And Tom, I don't know, I'm sure you might have something to say, Tom. I don't know if you want to say something, Kathy or Ann, you're more than welcome to input. You guys have worked with him longer and more intimately than we have. So, Tom?
Yeah, Bruce knows how I feel about him and Retha. He is the epitome of the best city manager that any city that I've worked with, and I've been working for municipalities just like he has for almost 30 years. So he's very well respected. I can tell you that the other city managers that I've been involved with, they rely upon him. They call him for his expertise and his knowledge. Personally, I've really enjoyed working with Bruce. He's easy to get along with. You know exactly where he's coming from. You know what he expects. And frankly, I think that he's probably given me way too much latitude over the last 10 years or so. He does that with his department heads too. You can see that he basically gives them an idea as to what he wants accomplished and makes them run with it. And that's, I think, a really good way of, running the city, letting the people that run those departments and do their best work. And I appreciated that fact. I really enjoyed Bruce and Retha and their boys. I've seen them grow up. See them go into the Marines and then the sheriff's office and then Savannah and the fire department and so forth. So that's been a neat thing to see as my boys grew up too. So I wish them the best of luck. You know that, Bruce. And I look forward to hearing your stories from Tennessee and your travels. So thank you.
You bet.
Okay.
Kathy?
I can do this.
Well,
you know I am not a fan of change. Do not like change at all. I moved here in 1984, and Oldsmar has really changed a lot since then. But Bruce, you've made it so it wasn't painful. It's just grown into just a city we're all proud of, and it's been a great place to raise a family, and just, you know how I feel about you. I will miss you. Thank you.
We'll be done soon, Bruce. Ann?
Well, Bruce, there are a lot of cities where the city manager and city clerk don't get along. It's an adversarial relationship. And I think I've just been so blessed to have had you as our first city manager that I've been working with, and just a collaborative effort. I think it means a lot that you care so much about the community, and that the community cares so much about you. I'm going to miss you.
Well, that, and I think that you've always been indebted because I saved you from that cricket.
Oh, yes. The big cricket.
First time we met.
Yes. Big cricket.
Yes.
I don't really want to say anything about this, right? You know how I feel. And I'll say what I have to say.
You'll have another opportunity.
Friday, yeah.
I will tell you, he did participate in our pyramid at the last
I don't-
conference.
I did.
You notice the Spirit Award
I
is
don't,
shaped like
I
a
don't
pyramid.
want, I don't want to hear that. Anyway, Mayor, you said he gives us a lot of tools. The most important tool Bruce has ever given to a council member was information.
Yep.
Was information.
Yeah, it's awesome, for sure. Bruce?
Well, as I said earlier, it's been a great run, and it's a good time for me to be retiring. The city is in very good condition financially and every otherwise, every other way. Very capable staff. They certainly demonstrated that in the last 2 weeks, and about many of the folks here this evening worked in the EOC during the event, and Eddie was there also frequently. But I appreciate all the compliments this evening and the recognition and awards and the reception. I've enjoyed that and appreciate it. So.
With that, Adam?
Can't see the horse.
These are the days of the endless summer. These are the days, the time and night. There is no path. Future. There's only you. There's only you. Oh, your smiling face, your gracious presence. Are they raining hot in the sun of glory? Cries freedom in the night. These are the days I just stop and river. It's time to increase and our treasure flight. This is a love, oh, one magician. Turn the water, yeah, into these are the days of the endless dancing. Gather long summer, the summer. These are the days of the true romancing. When I'm holding you, oh, so sad. These are the days of a sparkling river. And it's time to grace in the treasure find. This is the love of the one great magician. And We must enjoy as we can. These are the days that will last forever. You got to hold them. Yeah, you're right.
I just want to say on behalf of the council, I'm honored as the mayor, and I know I speak for the council to be part of this, and our charter officials and everybody to be a part of this historic moment for the city of Oldsmar. We're going to adjourn the meeting, and I would like to gather everybody down, and maybe Eddie, if you could take a picture of everybody that's here, just for keepsake and for Bruce to not forget the people that he built a team for, which is us in the city of Oldsmar. Having said that, I would be honored to have you adjourn the meeting.
Meeting's adjourned.